I'm Ben Mankiewicz. Welcome back to TCM. We are spending the night in the unfriendly skies with a lineup of aviation disaster movies. Up next, a high-stakes, high-flying thriller released by Paramount in 1957. It's a movie you might well recognize even if you've never seen it, 0 Hour. Dana Andrews stars as a former fighter pilot traumatized by his actions during World War II. Fate plays a cruel trick when Andrews must take the controls of a passenger plane to prevent it from crashing after the pilots get sick. So you've got Andrews as Ted Stryker, a damaged pilot forced to fly again. Then there's Ted's gruff former commanding officer who now must reluctantly help him out from the ground. Additionally, you'll witness an awkward scene in the cockpit between the pilots and a young boy named Joey, plus a toxic fish dinner. All of those plot points resurfaced in nearly identical fashion 23 years later in the 1980 comedy Airplane. The connection is, of course, entirely intentional. Airplane creators David Zucker, Jerry Zucker, and Jim Abrams liberally borrowed from 0 Hour's plot, even hijacking some of its dialogue. What's really remarkable is the genius displayed by Abrams and the Zucker brothers. They turned this taut drama into one of the great comedies of its era, and they did it by, at times, changing nothing but the tone. 0 Hour is itself an adaptation taken from a Canadian television drama, Flight into Danger. Both were written by a young Brit named Arthur Haley. Haley had flown for the Royal Air Force during World War II and undoubtedly had a few hair-raising experiences of his own. 11 years after 0 Hour, Haley wrote a massive bestseller, reworking the aviation disaster theme in Airport. 2 years later, it was adapted into the 1970 hit film we showed earlier tonight. It kicked off the barrage of disaster movies in the 1970s. This one's from 1957, directed by Hall Bartlett, also with Sterling Hayden, Linda Darnell, and former pro football great Elroy Crazy Legs Hirsch. 0 Hour. The idea for 0 Hour began when former RAF pilot Arthur Haley was flying as a passenger on a commercial plane in Canada in 1956. He started to speculate about what would happen if the flight went horribly wrong, if the food was tainted, and the pilots became too ill to fly. On top of that, what if a traumatized Air Force pilot was the only one on board who could safely take over the plane and try to land it? Haley turned his story into a TV script originally titled Flight into Danger and sold it to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation for just $600. The teleplay premiered on the Canadian television anthology series Encounter in 1956, starring James Doohan, a.k.a. Scotty from Star Trek, in the role of the reluctant pilot. An American TV version followed with MacDonald Carey in the lead, and then Dana Andrews stepped into the role in the 1957 feature you just saw. For Arthur Haley, this was only the beginning of his writing career. As a novelist, he achieved even more success writing bestsellers like Hotel, published in 1965, and Airport in 1968. Both were pretty quickly adapted for the screen as big-budget, all-star Hollywood spectacles. Coming up, another airborne disaster, once again, starring Dana Andrews. The Crowded Sky from Warner Brothers in 1960 is next on Turner Classic Movies.
Next on TCM, The Crowded Sky, then Skyjacked, and later, Night Must Fall. TCM's on till the crack of dawn tonight.